So everybody's talking about the housing market and why it's such a crazy time to buy or sell because of high interest rates, all the uncertainty going on. But I'm going to show you exactly what is happening in today's Denver housing market here in February 2023 and why it's a great time to buy or sell a home based on actual data, not just me making stuff up. And then at the very end, I'm going to give you 3 things to know if you're a potential home buyer here in Denver and 3 things to know as a potential home seller in Denver. By the way, if you're new to my channel, what is up? My name is Torrey Drake. I'm a local Denver realtor, and every single day I help people just like yourself buy and sell homes here in the greater Denver area. So to show you what is happening in the housing market, I'm going to jump into a chart on my computer, but don't worry when you freak out. Don't freak out when you see I'm going to simplify it. It looks really confusing, but I'm going to point out the few key things you need to know the most. Let's jump in. Okay, so like I mentioned, this chart looks really confusing, overwhelming, because it breaks the housing market down week by week here in Denver, which is awesome, into several categories. I'm going to show you the categories I think that matter most to get a gauge of what the heck is happening here in Denver. Okay, cool. So the first thing I want to show you is we started off with odds of selling. If you list your home, what are your odds of successfully selling it? We started off at 48%. You can see the top left there, and we're already at 60% in just 5 weeks in the housing market of Denver. The amount of homes that went under contract the first week, well, actually, if we scroll back up, we were seeing in December around like 300, 400, 600. Started off the first week in January at 600, and now we're already, the numbers have gone up every single week to 1,000. So more and more buyers are putting homes under contract. Speaking of more buyers, the next thing I want to show you here is total showings. I'm clicking that, you should see a little circle appear around it. In December, we had 8,000 showings for a week, then 4,000, then 6,000, and now we're at 11, 12, basically 12, 14, and now just under 15,000 showings. So more and more buyers are coming into market. The amount of showings it takes for a home to go into contract went from 16 showings to 14, and the amount of properties that have to decrease their price to go under contract was actually, if we go up here, at 60% at the end of November. And now we started off at 50% of homes in 2023 have to decrease price to go under contract. And now it's 36%, as you can see. So basically, why does this make it a good time to buy or sell? It makes it a good time to buy because a lot of buyers are worried about a housing crash happening. And that's just, as we can see, we have too much demand going on, and sellers are worried about selling their home for less than it's worth. Well, number one, we've had 44% appreciation since 2020, and we've had about 10% depreciation the past year, so you're still up 33%. And this shows you have a great, even though interest rates are high, demand is coming back really, really strong. So if you want to buy or sell here in Denver, you can do it confidently that we have a strong, healthy housing market to do it in, which brings me to the 3 things to know for buyers and 3 things to know for sellers. Let's go ahead and jump in. Thing to know number 1 for buyers is the spring market, like January through July, is historically the most competitive time. So once again, expect that you might get into a multiple offer situation. So know what your tools are by talking to your realtor if you get in a multiple offer situation to make sure you don't overpay. If you don't know what those are, feel free to reach out to me. Happy to chat with you, no pressure. Number 2 for buyers, before submitting an offer, make sure your agent calls the other agent selling the house and see if there's any other offers on the property. If there's not, you probably don't need to go in over asking. If there are, it's helpful to know to help you craft the best offer possible. You want to get the house, but you don't want to overpay for it. Number 3 for buyers, yes, it is more competitive than it was just a few months ago, and it's likely to get more competitive all the way through July and taper off around then. However, it's not going to be the same craziness that we've seen the past 2 years. So instead of going against 30 offers on a property, you might be going against 1, 2, or 3 sometimes. Well, that covers buyers. Moving on to sellers. Things to know number 1 if you're thinking about selling your home is do not be quick to drop the price in your home. Homes are selling in one weekend. However, the average of homes are not, so don't be afraid just because your home hasn't sold in one weekend or even 2. You should have a plan and a strategy in place for when you will drop your price and for how much, and that should be based on market data, not on a freak knee-jerk reaction. Number two is you have more competition than it looks like. Our standing inventory, how much homes we have for sale on a day-to-day basis, looks like it's going down because the buyers are scooping them up. However, you have more competition than normal because more and more sellers are starting to list their home, but buyers are just scooping them up. So the average daily count looks lower than it actually is because every week we're having new homes hit the market, but buyers are just scooping them up. So you have more competition than you think you do. Therefore, make sure you market and prepare your home properly. And thing to know, number three, is historically January through July is when you can get the most amount of money for your home because there's the most amount of competition. So if you're thinking about selling your home this year, there is an advantage to selling in the spring market or before July or August that you're going to capitalize on the most amount of buyer demand. Well, guys, that covers February 2023's edition of What the Heck is Going On in the Denver Housing Market. I hope you found this information helpful. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, my contact information is in the description below, so feel free to reach out to me if you have anything I can help with. I'm the most no-pressure guy you can I'm a super no pressure guy. That's just not my style, not how I work. Consider checking me out on Instagram and TikTok. I am posting on there every single day with home tours, community information, community tours, market updates. I'm very, very active on there, and I'd love to hear from you guys there. Thank you so much. Consider liking and subscribing if you dug the content, and I will see you guys on the next one.